iGaming SEO in 2026. Obviously, with regards to the search engine results page, it's pretty crazy kind of industry at present. So with regards to iGaming SEO, what's working in today's algorithms?
Black hat. Unfortunately, it's pretty much all black hat all day long. And even if you get your white hat to work, you'll be more than likely negative SEO'd by one of the black hats anyway, removed from the SERPs with one of the several negative SEO techniques that are working very, very well right now, with DMCA takedowns probably being the number one cause of sites being removed.
So if you've got a white hat iGaming website and you're ranking number one for a big keyword, like what you're saying there, someone will black hat it and take it down?
Yes, 100%.
Via what? What's the method?
So right now it's a DMCA takedown. So basically there's a specific portal where you can go and submit a DMCA notice to Google saying that this page on the internet is infringing on your copyright. And that system's automatic. So it will automatically remove a page from the SERP. However, it doesn't even matter if there's a piece of violating content on there or not. In most of the cases, there's no copyrighted content, no copyrighted material on there. Google will just automatically remove it. And then you can appeal. 2 weeks later, you'll get reinstated. However, for that 2-week period, even if they've instated you on day number 7, it will still take you another 7 days to be fully reinstated back into the SERPs. So for a 2-week period, you can have your page or pages on your website. In some cases, we're seeing some of the operators in iGaming deal with hundreds of DMCAs every single day, sometimes even on the same URL. They're at the DMCA in the same URL 20 times per day. And it's just a continual effort to remove and suppress pages from Google. So even if you are doing all the white hat in the world, you're still going to be affected by the black hats anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the negative SEO kind of strategy.
I think it should be patched by
Google.
It
needs to get patched very quickly. So, but with regards to staying completely away from any sort of negative SEO, then what can people be doing to win? So what are people doing differently in iGaming to help them to win? I hear a lot of people talking about virality. So a lot of people are, obviously they're wanting to do backlinks, but a lot of people are doing some sort of virality campaigns. Does virality work? And is that a great play to use with regards to within the iGaming sector?
Yeah, it's viral boosting, CTR manipulation, all of those kind of things. They work fantastically well if you can do it properly. Now, the majority of people in iGaming and the majority of SEOs aren't going to be able to do the actual CTR manipulation properly because there's so many factors and so many factors in viral boosting, clicks, user engagement, the whole thing. A lot of it takes several layers. So number one, you have to have the correct geo. So if you're trying to rank in the UK, you want UK IP addresses. Number two, those IP addresses need to be clean. So they can't be bots, they can't be VPNs, they can't be IPs that Google is blocking, and they can't be IPs that Google thinks are spam or negative. And potentially, if you are continually using botted IP addresses that do result in negative IPs, actually you can effectively negative SEO your own page by doing that CTR manipulation. So you need to have geo-specific IPs, they need to be clean, and then they need to be timed well. So if you have a keyword that is 600 searches per month and you go and send 600 clicks per day through to Google, it looks pretty manipulated, looks negative, and it can actually, again, cause it to drop. So you need to get those 3 things right. You need to make sure that you have the correct geo, clean IP addresses, and it's framed in the correct period of time and set over that period of time. And some people even try and take in like time zones into account so that you're not sending loads of clicks at 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 in the morning. They're all coming through peak hours and that kind of stuff. So it kind of removes that negative effect that it can have.
Yeah, and then there's other viral campaigns where some of them are using like pop under traffic, whether it's Propeller, pop ads, traffic stars, and they're doing it through, let's say, like Twitter redirects. And the issue with that is they're getting like 5,000 hits instantly, but they're all under 2 seconds. They actually trigger, I believe, instant boost, which was in the Google leak. But then the long-term nav boost metrics, because it's going to send overall going to be negative signals, even though get the short-term boost and jump from, let's say, position number 7 to position number 1, it almost becomes the crack cocaine, where basically what's happening is they're going, oh, I want more of that, I want more of that. 72 hours later, when it drops back down, they rerun it again. They send another 5,000 hits through the Twitter, or they might do like Chrome browsers, or they might do Android and stuff like that. And it works, and it works, and it works until the whole site kind of drops down. And it's like, it seems such a from trying to rank a website in the iGaming sector, it feels like people need to be doing it, but then long term, it just affects the overall 13 months worth of nav boost signals of what it's collecting. Once they're doing these pop under traffic, it just seems to affect them long term. So it always seems to be short term kind of gains with regards to the iGaming sector. So with regards to that, let's move away from the website, because it's difficult to build a website long term and rank it. And obviously a lot of people now are using age domains and stuff like that to try to rank. And again, it's short term and stuff like that. And then they're repurposing the age domains and stuff. So with regards to age domains, what are people looking for on an age domain to try to rank in the iGaming industry?
In general, it's niche relevancy used to be a big part of kind of looking at age domains, that kind of thing. Right now, it's root authority and trust signals like a GMP or a GMB. So just making sure that it was a real business, it was a real entity, it's trusted by Google, it's maintaining the equity the domain already had. And that's what expired domains and drop domains and drop catch domains tend to not be as powerful as age domains, because they tend to lose that equity, because again, Google's a domain registrar and they can very, very quickly see if there is some issue between the domain kind of being dropped and then being picked up and used for something else. So that kind of comparative anti-spam system stops those from working. But for the age domains, it's literally just the trust layer and the authority layer maintaining the equity.
And then with regards to like Parasite articles, so using third-party high DR sites to try to get those rankings on there, to write good quality semantic content, NLP optimized, get all the information on and stuff like that. Is there any specific domains that people should be looking for? Does that need to be niche relevant if they're looking to get best casino sites in Canada, for example? Or is it relevance on the domain doesn't really matter?
It depends on the SERP and the niche, to be fair. If you're trying to rank for like YMYL, iGaming keywords, it does matter to some extent. But for most of the keywords, Google systems don't. To some extent, I do think that 5 or 6 years ago, the anti-spam systems that Google had were much more aggressive, and they probably would pick up a lot more than they do today. But now a lot of them have been switched off, or a lot of them have been devalued, or the processing power has been moved into like AI research and the AI teams and things like that. So you can get away with a lot more now than you used to be able to.
So when you used to write this article on a third-party site, it's a DR90 site, you've got the article on there, you've got a listicle, you've put your brand in position number 1. Are you looking to power that up with tier 2s or any sort of virality to the actual Parasite article?
A lot of the time we're using CTR manipulation for the Parasite article. With backlinks, it depends on the niche and if they need them, and if it's that the query, and if it's that competitive and they need it. A lot of the time we're using other parasites to link to the parasites, and then we're basically just interlinking and allowing them all to kind of rise up together.
Is that where they're saying the daisy chain, the kind of parasite articles together? So one links to another, which goes to another. There's like a circuit round that's going. And so obviously once you power up one, it's powering up the whole chain of what's coming along. With regards to other iGaming strategies then, what else is it that people are seeming to do that's working very well?
There's a bunch of stuff with like the canonical trick, with subdomains, with domains that are non-relevant to the geo. So you can now, previously you couldn't rank like a Greece domain in the UK. A lot of those domain level systems at Google seem to have changed, and now you can rank certain domains that aren't geo-specific in other geo-specific areas. But in general, right now it's canonical, subdomain trick, PBNs, link spam, age domains, and negative SEO. Those are the big 6, really.
So with regards to subdomains, so subdomains I've always been told is classed as being a different website to the root domain. However, now a lot of people say no, they're working like gangbusters, because you're still getting the brand and the trust of the root domain, and you're able to go and put like casino dots onto it or betting dots and stuff like that. And they're all treated different websites.
But an EMSD.
An EMSD, yeah. So like you end up doing that, and you can still pass the power down, and you can start powering up each subdomain. Do you feel that that's a better strategy than the canonical, or is it just one of them that just try all things?
I think it's one of those where if you're combining certain techniques together, you will get a better effect than having one on by itself, right? So if you can combine the subdomain with the canonical, with the CTR manipulation, with PBNs, you're going to be able to rank way, way higher than if somebody's just doing one by themselves, right? But Subdomains specifically, they did used to be treated as their own individual domain, effectively different to the main domain. But Google does seem to have switched up some of the way the algorithm is treating it. And you do seem to be able to still get some of the trust and validation from the root domain that you do from the subdomain. But most of the people in iGaming, at least, are using the canonical method on an age domain. And then they're pointing that canonical to the subdomain. And then they're firing tons and tons of spam through the canonicalized age domain, which is then pointing at the root domain, and that canonical tag is effectively acting as an anti-spam 301, which allows you to have a lot more levels of spam than a traditional 301 would have.
So let's say someone's watching this and they're in the iGaming industry and they're saying, Charles, I need to rank my website. I've had it for 5 years. I've got a brand and they only want to do white hat strategies. And you can't say, leave the industry, right? What can they be doing to try to push the boundaries to try to compete in certain industries? It could be the long tail group. So let's say they could be in bingo, they could be in betting, they could be on online slots, they could be in casino. Like they're going to go, okay, we're not going to go after the big terms, right? We're going to get these DMCA takedowns. We're going after the really long tails. What could they be doing with regards to traditional type of SEO strategies that's working today that might be able to get them to still get them FTDs, to still allow them to at least get a wage out of the iGaming website that they have?
I would say its topical authority is still massive. And the fact that most iGaming sites, especially for doing like slots and games and things like that, don't have anywhere near any level of content that they could have on them, that you can then generally get away with having much higher levels of content depth and much higher levels of accuracy and information, all these kind of things that Google will prefer to see, even if they are using all the black hat techniques and that kind of stuff. The problem that you have is consensus in the SERP isn't just at a content level. So consensus becomes at a domain and almost technique level. So if it's a bunch of blog posts ranking in the SERPs, Google tends to prefer another blog post coming into the top 10, right? And that means that if there's a bunch of black hats ranking canonical subdomains in the SERP, they're going to want to see another canonical subdomain come into the SERP, not a white hat site, which is the big issue. However, you can pick up tons of long tail keywords. There's all sorts of like little game searches. There's all sorts of little celebrity searches. There's all sorts of sports betting queries. There's tons and tons of things that just creating depthier content can start picking up mass amounts of long tails and making sure you have the technical SEO and the on-page sorted so that it's properly structured and equity can flow between hubs and equity can flow down from hubs into those long tail pages and things like that. That's how you're going to be able to win the bigger race. With that being said, you need to make sure that that content isn't thin. You're not just creating pages for the sake of adding a page for a 10 search per month query. It needs to still maintain that overall quality score of the website.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone who's watching this who's in the iGaming SEO sector, you're building out a casino site, a bingo site, a betting site, poker site, anything like that, leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what's working for you in the iGaming industry. Charles, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me.